Have you ever heard of a company called Haloview? I haven't until just recently. They reached out to us and asked us if we wouldn't mind taking a look at their BT7, Bite Tango 7. It's basically a backup camera or observation system. We figured why not? Let's go ahead and give it a review. Honestly, when Haloview first reached out to us, I wasn't that interested in doing a review on their product. We already have a backup camera. It works okay. It does what it needs to do for us. I just didn't feel like taking that one out and putting a new one in. But I figured before I gave them a response, let me at least do some research and get a little bit more information on their product. That's when I started getting a little bit more interested. And I wrote down some notes because I wanted to make sure I mention these to you as well. These help me make up my mind to go ahead and yeah, it probably is worth it to give this product a shot. A couple quick things. Now, this is very common to a lot of backup cameras, but it's a backup camera or an observation camera. Now, the way you can think of that is a backup camera usually works when you put your vehicle in reverse. So it's wired up to like a backup light or something like that. Observation cameras, and that's how our RV is currently hooked up. The power to the camera is hooked up to our running lights or our headlights. So as soon as our headlights come on, the backup camera comes on. So now what I really like about this is as we're driving down the road, the camera's on. So if we're gonna switch lanes or something like that, I can look and it helps out as well. So this camera is basically, you know, a backup camera or an observation camera. It also works up to vehicles or works up with vehicles up to 65 feet in length. So our RV is 45 feet long. The camera's in the far back. The monitor is in our tow vehicle. I put that at about 55 feet distance from front to rear. So we should be within those parameters. Now this is where things kind of got interesting and really got me kind of excited about this product. And I'm just going to read from my notes. The monitor, it's a very, very bright monitor. It's something like 1,000, I call it candela per square meters, candles per square meter. Basically the illumination or the intensity of the brightness. That's the scientific term for it's bright. That's one of the problems that we have currently. Our current system is not very bright, especially when there's some sunlight on it. It's honestly a little bit hard to see. So that was something that really kind of caught my eye. It also has or records video in 1080p, full definition. That's really nice. My current system is 720. So I'm hoping the video or the camera images are going to be a little bit more clear as well. This is something pretty cool I never even thought about, but it has a built-in, they call it a DVR, but you can put like a micro SD card in there and record events. So you can record video if needed. Something else that's really, really nice, and this kind of caught my eye as well, but it's full color, low light, basically night vision. So when you're in, if you're arriving to a campsite in the evening, you're running late, it's kind of dark out, this is supposed to be able to pick up, still give you full color, and be able to use that video as you're backing up. It also has night vision. I believe they're called fill light. So if it's really, really dark out, there's some technology in here that basically lights up the area. I don't know if a human can see it, but the camera can see it, so still give you some video as you're backing up as well. So that's kind of nice. Now, we don't normally arrive at dark time. That's probably not something I would use very often, but it's nice to know that it's there. A couple other things. It has backup lines, and what these are, most vehicles nowadays, you know, when you back up your vehicle, you get those little, usually like red, yellow, and green lines that kind of shows you the direction you're backing up into. Now, the way I see us using this is, and these are adjustable as well, so you can adjust the lines width-wise and also lengthwise. Sometimes what happens to us is, or what concerns us is when we're setting up our RV, I want to make sure I have enough room to put our ramp down in the back. I can see me using these lines, adjust them so I know when my ramp is down, let's say it hits the very edge of the lines or the edge of one of the colors or something like that. So I know as long as there's nothing in between us and that line, our ramp can go down. So that's something I think I'm actually going to like. That kind of got me pretty interested. Something else it has, which I'd never even thought of, honestly, for a backup camera, is audio. Now, when we're backing up, usually Dina is outside. We do have walkie-talkies. Not everybody does this, but if you do have audio, it does give you the opportunity maybe to pick up somebody starts screaming or just any other noises, anything that may happen or you may need, somebody's yelling stop or something like that. It does give you that opportunity to be able to listen as well. So that's kind of neat. So with all that said, in the research I did on this, yeah, I'm kind of interested. I want to check this out. Something else that I'm really hoping works. They sent me this as well. This is a suction cup mount. I mean, it looks kind of funny, but what happens with us today is we have our existing backup camera up on the dash of the truck, of the tow vehicle. That really blocks a lot of my vision out the windshield. I'm really hoping with this suction cup, the way this works, I can take this new monitor, kind of lower it down, get it out of my field of view for the windshield, and have basically just be a little bit safer. So yes, we're going to review it. I'm actually very excited about this. I really hope this works out for us. So with that said, let's go ahead and open up the box and actually just see what's inside here. Let's see what comes with this package. Again, this is the BT7. Now this does have a 7-inch monitor, which should be plenty big enough. And I'll try to get this so it's not in your way. Okay, so right out the bat, this comes, it looks like a couple different user manuals. We have a user manual for the camera itself, some installation instructions and things like that, the typical what you would think of in something like this. We also have a user manual for the monitor. Now this is going to be more of the function keys, how to set it up, how to use all the different functions. This can actually be used with little side cameras as well, like for turning, changing, when you want to change lanes or something like that. So it's kind of a pretty neat system. So let's get into the goodies now. All right, so let's start right off with the camera. We're going to pull the camera out. This is what it looks like. There is a jack here. This is for an antenna. And this would be your power cable as well. So that's, hopefully you can see that. That's the camera. It looks like they have, I'm assuming, yeah, this is like a plate. So this would be like a mounting plate if you wanted to mount this on the dash or something. Yeah, there is a 3M sticky on the bottom. So you could mount this and then mount your monitor onto this. So that's one mounting option. Again, I think I'm really going to try this suction mount first. This would be a gasket. This is for the camera, so this would go on the back of the RV. The camera would mount up against this. This must be some kind of adapter. I believe you can actually mount these without drilling holes into the RV. So I think this is where like a magnet would go in. You can mount the camera to this. I'm not 100% sure. That's what I believe that's for. We do have, looks like just some odds and ends mounting hardware, some screws, a couple knobs. I'm assuming these are going to be for another, maybe a mounting bracket. We'll find out in a second. All right, now on to the good stuff. The monitor. Okay. So this is the 7-inch monitor. Again, this is 1080p high definition. It's supposed to be very bright colors. So I am really hoping that's true and it works as advertised. So it does look pretty nice. You do have some function keys down the side, and you also have, it looks like, for 2 antenna ports as well. Okay. Down inside here, this just looks like just something to clean if you're gonna stick it somewhere. Okay. We have 3 antennas. Now the monitor has ports for 2 antennas, and the camera has a port for 1 antenna. So those are the 3 antennas. These look like they're just little sticky things, and they're basically for tying up wires. If you're going to run some wires or power cord somewhere, you can use these to make things nice and clean. I don't believe we're going to need these, but we'll see. Okay, I read about this. It's kind of interesting. This is an external antenna for the camera. So what happens sometimes, and we have an existing camera, so we're going to use the same mounting holes and access from there. If by chance it's too low and we get a weak signal, instead of mounting one of these antennas to the camera, I can mount this in the very far back of the RV. It's sticky, it'll stick on the roof, and then I can run this down to the camera. So it should give it a little bit better signal, basically up above the roof line of the RV. Now I hope we don't need this, but we'll see. I'm glad it's part of the kit. Okay, we have a cigarette adapter or power cord. This would be for the monitor. We'd plug the monitor into this. Okay, so this is a pairing cable. Hopefully you can see that. Now the monitor and the camera does come paired, pre-paired already, so I don't think we're going to need this, but if we're going to add additional cameras down the road, I think this might be something that we could use. This looks like it's probably a power cable. I don't think we're going to need this because, again, we already have power on our existing camera. I think they give us an adapter to go from that to their camera, or to the Haloview camera. Again, yeah, this is probably one of the adapters. And we have another. Now this is the power adapter, so I recognize the pins here. So we have a power adapter here as well. Okay. Oh, this is nice. Oh, this would be a sun shield. This is the problem, and I'm really hoping this camera fixes for us. When our camera, it's very sunny out, it's kind of hard to see. This does come with a sun shield. I'm hoping between this and the better quality image or brighter screen resolution, I'm really hoping I can see a lot better. One other thing inside here. Okay, so this would be another mounting option if you wanted to actually screw this down onto something, or I guess if you wanted to, you could even just stick it down on something. And we had a couple of those little screws or knobs that would go in here and hold the monitor to this. So we have a few options. We could use this. We have this base plate option here. This is actually pretty nice. And then we also have our suction cup for the windshield. That's the contents. That's what we have. I think next thing we're going to do is we are going to get this thing installed. Let's grab everything up and head outside. Before we get started with the actual installation of the camera on the RV, there's a couple things I want to talk about. First off, if this is a product, the BT7, you think it's something you might like to purchase after watching the video, we're going to try to work with Haloview and see if we can get you a discount code. If we can, we'll put the discount code in the description of the video. Also, we'll get you a link where you can actually purchase the product as well. The other quick thing I got to say is if you do enjoy stuff like this, if you do enjoy information, RV information and reviews, please subscribe to our channel and make sure you hit the like button as well. Okay, with that said, the whole reason why I'm sitting here in our tow vehicle is I want to make sure the camera and the monitor work before I get up on my RV and take my old camera off. The camera is supposed to come pre-paired paired to the monitor, and that's what I'm really checking right now. I am using the pairing cable. I have the camera and the monitor attached to the pairing cable, and I have that plugged into my cigarette lighter. As you can see here, everything is working. I can move the camera around, and you should be able to see, everything on the monitor. Hopefully you can see all that. Okay. I'm looking at this monitor. I'm pretty excited, to be honest with you. This is so much nicer than my other monitor. I really hope this works for us. So now that we know everything works, I can go ahead and unplug this, and we can jump out back and get the camera mounted to the back of the RV. Removing the old camera was very easy. There's literally 4 screws holding it in, 2 on the left side and 2 on the right side. All we had to do was to remove the 4 screws. Existing cable that goes into the RV. I just plug this cable in. Now what's going to end up happening is I'm going to end up pushing all this inside the hole here. What I'm afraid of is if this ever vibrated loose, it would be behind the RV. I could never get it back out again. So I'm going to put a little bit of electrical tape around this just as a precaution. I don't think you have to, but I do want to get, I'm really afraid that if this ever came loose, I would have a problem getting it back out from inside the roof. After I wrapped some electrical tape around both of my connections, I pushed as much extra wire back inside the roof of the RV just to get it out of the way. The next thing I did was I took a little bit of acetone, just kind of cleaned up the area a little bit before I put the new gasket on. Once we got everything cleaned up, it was just a matter of placing the new camera in place and putting the 4 screws back in. Now what I did do was I put a little bit of silicone sealant on each of the screws. It's not something you have to do. My thought is it's just one less place, hopefully, to get a little bit of water where water can't protrude inside. I do know there's a great big hole in the center, but the other thing I was thinking about, maybe it might help to keep the screws from backing out a little bit or vibrating out a little bit as well too. So that was very simple. Now once we did get the camera in place, I put the screws in, but I did not tighten them down all the way. I wanted to make sure the gasket was fitting around the outside edge of the camera. I didn't want the gasket to be pinched anywhere. Once I verified the gasket was okay, then I tightened down the screws the rest of the way. And that is literally it. Antennas up above the roof line some, so hopefully that works. Now you can adjust. This is adjustable up and down. I don't know if I'm going to need to adjust it yet. I won't know until I start to hook the monitor up and start driving, but it's as simple as that. Very straightforward. The holes did align up with the existing holes. That made it nice. Now I will have to come back. Probably if I do adjust this, I'll come back with some black paint just to clean this up a little bit. But we're basically done back here in the back. All right, I'm pretty excited. It is 7:30 in the morning. We have a 300-mile drive today to our next destination. What a great time to try out this new Haloview camera. It's all hooked up. I just hooked it up, the monitor, for the first time. I had to wait until I could hook up the RV and connect power to it. Let me show you what I'm looking at. I'm pretty excited. Look at the color of this monitor and the clarity. It is unbelievable. You can also see I did use the suction cup. The suction cup mount comes down here. And this way here I can lower, I was able to lower down the camera. If you remember, I think I'll try to show you a picture. But my old camera was up here, so it kind of blocked part of my view. So this is the new position for the camera. I'll probably still tweak it a little bit. I'll just see how it works today and maybe move things around and fine tune the position, but it looks pretty, I like it so far. There's a couple things I'm going to do though before we even get started. We have all our function keys down the side. I don't want any noise. Remember, this has audio on it. I don't need to hear any road noise, so I will go ahead and hold this down for 2 seconds. Now you might be able to see up here the speakers turned off, so there's no road noise. The other thing is I don't need these backup lines while I'm driving. I can hold this button down, the plus side, hold this down for 2 seconds and get rid of those. So there is the monitor. So I'm pretty excited. Like I said, we got a 300-mile drive today. It's going to be a great time to really do a driving test with this monitor. I'll probably, maybe about halfway through, I'll do a little bit more video and kind of let you know how things are going. Other than that, we're getting ready to drive, and I can't wait to try out this monitor. It looks really, really good. All right, we're about halfway done with our trip today. I've gone just under 150 miles. We're at a rest stop right now. I did have a couple things I wanted to adjust while we were here. The camera itself, I think, was pointed down just a little bit too much, so I wanted to raise it up a notch. Also, I kind of moved it on my dash a little bit. I'll show you where I put it now. Doesn't block any of my field of view. Honestly, it's just kind of blocking the hood of the truck, so I can still see everything up here. So I'm going to try this for the next 150 miles. I also put a SD card in here. I'll try a little bit of video as well. We'll try to save some video and see how that comes out. But I did have to make a couple minor adjustments. The first thing I noticed when I plugged this in, we started to go, I had to, there's a way to adjust the, make basically a mirror image of what you're seeing on the monitor. So what was happening, it was kind of freaky, to be honest with you. I started driving down the road and a car would pass me on the left-hand side, but the monitor was showing it on the right-hand side. Very, very simple. There's just a button you can hit and it just makes a mirror image of that. So I did that. I also tried the volume or the speakers as we were driving down the road. Honestly, all I picked up was basically a little bit of road noise, which is kind of what I would expect. I don't see any reason why you would have the volume or the sound on as you're driving. So I did turn that off. I also turned off the backup lines for driving as well. And I will turn those back on when I do have to back up. So we're gonna just try something slightly different. Again, I moved the camera up slightly, moved the monitor to a different location. We're gonna give this another shot and see how this goes. Once we're done with all this driving, we'll wrap everything up back in the RV. I'll let you know what I found, the pros and cons, some issues that I did run into, and we'll just take it from there. So rest of the day, more driving. Yesterday we used the camera for 300 miles. It was a pretty good day. We got a lot of information. We did have a couple issues we'll talk about at the end of the video, towards the end of the video. For today, I have about 160 miles to go. I attached the external antenna on top of the RV and plugged it into the camera yesterday. So that's what we're gonna be testing today, is the external antenna, and make any little minor adjustments just to try to get this thing tuned in and see how I like it. So today, it's just going to be another test day. All right, we're done with our road test. Let's head into the RV and I'll give you my final comments. Okay, I know this is the part you've been waiting for, our opinion of the camera. This is the Haloview BT7 backup camera or observation system. We spent the last couple days testing it on the road. As any of our reviews go, I want to make sure you're aware that you will get our honest opinion. We're not going to hold anything back. We will always tell you the truth on how we feel about something. With that said, let's go ahead and get into it. First off, I'll go through some of the pros. This monitor I really, really love. It's a 1080p high def monitor. The color on it was unbelievable. Hopefully you could see that in the video. It does have some function keys as well, which we really, really like. So as far as the monitor goes, you know, basically 2 thumbs up as far as I'm concerned. It also has the backup lines for when you're backing up into an RV site. That's pretty nice as well. Now, when I originally read about this, I thought you could adjust the backup lines, you know, make them more narrow or extend them. You can't. It's just basically moving it into in the frame somewhere or in the picture. So that's what you can do with the backup lines. Something I didn't think I would like, but it was kind of neat. This thing also takes video, and we showed some of the video during the demonstration of this, or in the video, we showed video of the Haloview, what it was taking. It was actually pretty cool. It's kind of fun to play with. I don't know if I would use it a lot, but it is pretty neat to see, and also just the ability to have it there as well. I could really see it maybe if you're in tight traffic, you're worried about maybe somebody running into the back of you or something like that, you go ahead and turn it on. The other thing that was really nice about this system is the ease of installation. I literally spent more time getting the ladder and getting my tools out and ready to go than it did to take to install the backup camera itself. Now, we already had power running to our original backup camera. I already had the 4 screw holes in the back of the RV, so I literally unscrewed 4 screws. I plugged the power into this camera and then screwed the 4 screws back in. It was really that simple. So overall, the installation, the monitor, I really loved it. Now let's go to some of the cons, some of the things that I would kind of like to see improved a little bit. First one's not a biggie, but it's the manuals. There's a couple manuals that came with this, one for the backup camera and one for the monitor. You can tell I'll say English isn't the primary language of whoever wrote this, so some of the grammar just isn't the best, and it always bugs me with the company. I know they're trying to you know, advertise or promote to the world. I just wish they would spend a little bit more time with the translations on some of the manuals. So that it's very minor, but you know, it's there. The field of view. So I do wish the field of view was a little bit wider, and I'll tell you what happened. When I first started driving, I had the camera tilted down kind of where I thought it would be, or where I would need it. As I was driving though, I could only see maybe 1 or 2 car lengths behind the RV. And I really like to see a lot further than that when I'm driving, so I can really kind of tell if nobody's behind me, it's safe to change lanes. I just like to see that more of a distance. So I did have to raise the camera up a little bit so I could see further out. Now by doing that, I couldn't see right below the back of the RV. After the first day of testing, I put my ramp down. I couldn't see the ramp at all with the camera. Now my ramp, I'm guessing, is about 8 feet long. When I was at a truck stop today though, I could kind of measure things out. It looks like when I had the camera where I want it, I can see roughly about 10 to 12 feet behind the RV. So I can't see my ramp, but I could see, you know, about 2 or 3 feet past the ramp. So I do wish the field of view was just a little bit wider, so I could get the road, the distance in the road, and also a little bit closer to the back of the RV. Definitely not a showstopper. I can deal with it, but I do wish it was just a little bit wider. This is the biggest concern I have. They advertise this for up to 65 feet between the camera and the monitor. We have the 5th wheel. It's roughly 45 feet long. I put the distance between the camera and the monitor about 55 feet total. The manual also suggests you should have at least 2 bars of signal strength, kind of like a cell phone. We have a number of bars. They want you to have at least 2 bars for signal strength. I could only get 1 bar. I could maintain 1 bar. Every once in a while I would get 2 bars, but it's pretty consistent at 1 bar. A couple things I said you could do. You could try to, take these antennas, you can move them around a little bit to adjust them. We tried that actually today as we were driving. The other big thing we did testing on our second day of testing, I removed the antenna on the camera and I used the external antenna and I plugged that into the camera. So that external antenna sits right on the roof of the RV. I plugged that in for today's test. same thing. I was still getting 1 bar. Every once in a while I might get 2 bars. So I honestly couldn't see a difference between the antennas. What happened though was the camera did lock up a few times on us. It locked up a couple times yesterday, and it also locked up on us once today. Now, comparing this with my old camera, it's probably about the same. The old camera locked up a couple times as well. It happens. This camera did the same thing. I was really hoping this camera would be better as far as that, but honestly, I don't think it was. So this did lock up on us a couple of times. With all that said though, this camera, I do like it. I will definitely use this over my old camera. Again, both cameras locked up. They both locked up about the same amount of time, you know, maybe once to possibly 3 times during a day of travel. I think it's something I'm going to have to live with. I don't know what else I could do with the antennas, but the monitor on this one just completely blows the other camera away. So that's my opinion. It's up to you to make a choice. We did manage to get a discount code for you if you do decide to purchase one of these with Haloview. Look down at the description below. There's a discount code in there, and there's also a link in there as well where you can purchase one of these. So hopefully you learned something. Hopefully maybe you get a chance to purchase one or use one yourself. So it's definitely a pretty nice system. Remember, always live life to the fullest.